Yeah. You guys want to hear some of my jokes I wrote?
Yes.
Okay. What do you call a Ferrari driver who was the only one to beat Red Bull last year?
Appendicitis.
Uno Los Carlos.
Doesn't matter. You fire him. Here's another one.
That's a good joke.
Okay.
What do you call him? You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
You fire him.
You actually called Lewis.
Okay. What does Ferrari give as a Christmas present to their 4-time championship driver?
A broken car.
Got it?
Wait, Ferrari?
Yeah.
So they're 4-time championship driver?
Yeah.
The boot?
Termination papers.
Nice. Yeah.
You want to hear my last joke?
Yes, I'm ready for it.
Okay, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Christian
who?
Christian Horner. Horner, I barely know her. Is that how you lead up to that
Reaching.
joke?
And
That's fitting for was it Oscars yesterday?
It's high-speed business.
And there's your
at a
music.
record pace.
You get 70 miles per gallon on this one. It's a ship that made the castle.
yeah,
Maybe Formula One stand-up. It's the new genre.
Yeah.
The new stand-up comedy, Formula One.
I would do so bad at that.
Anyway, welcome to the show.
yeah.
I'm your host, Max, with my buddy Mike. I'm just excited because we have Kevin in the studio
Yeah.
today.
Hi guys, happy to be here.
Yeah, our producer, sometimes host, all times friend,
Sometimes enemy.
sometimes enemy.
Sometimes enemy. Honestly, the group chat's been filled with a lot of passion these past few days.
Yeah,
A lot of disagreement.
Don't talk to me about rebuild titles.
If you guys
You're
don't
freaking
know,
set me up.
Kevin's been looking for a car,
I've been looking for a car.
and he
Looking for
wanted
a
to
car.
find a car under 10,000, but also on 100,000 miles.
I literally
Yeah.
gave the stank eye as soon as I wrote it. I was like,
Listen,
are we
And
asking?
then we
this?
triggered Mike when we're like, "Is a rebuild
Maybe
title
a real title.
something to consider?" And Mike,
I coined a very specific phrase
yeah,
because as the car guy in a lot of friends circles,
I was gonna say we have all come to Mike for our "What car should I buy next?" question,
Right.
And I have.
and the term asshole was
Yeah.
coined for people who would come to me and ask my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What should I get? What shouldn't I get? And it was literally coined off of people asking me, should I get a rebuild title?
Mhm.
And the amount of times I said no, and the amount of times people continued to buy those cars.
And the amount of joy they got out of them.
Yeah, as well as burned out tires.
Yeah,
and
but
all
But we're not
sorts of
doing that.
electrical
We're not doing that this
gremlins.
time.
Yeah.
We'll
Yes.
see. You know,
We'll see.
it's not purchased yet,
But
maybe
we'll let you know in the future.
Yeah,
on a
we'll
good
keep it on
path.
the lap.
Because there's a
The spread on like which car to get to has been quite wide.
Mhm.
It's been like maybe
Comical.
I'll buy a used Cayenne.
Uh-huh.
You know, that
Yeah.
sounds dangerous and bold. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
roll the dice there.
And it's tough. You look on the used car lot.
There's a lot of them.
all under 10 grand. And you're like, oof.
Yeah, that
Maybe.
sounds like a good time, though.
It does.
I understand why it's desirable.
Yeah. And then you think that's probably going to cost me a lot of money,
Mhm.
and it would.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah. But then the other side of me is like, maybe I just want an 86 Tercel. You
Yeah,
know what
man.
I mean?
Done
But
that as well.
Neither of those things are happening,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Kevin, did you leave the other headphones on the table? We make a podcast that's visual. God, gracious.
I don't know what you
kids
guys are
these
talking
days.
Anyway,
about.
speaking of rebuilt titles, Aston Martin at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Let's get into the race, guys.
Let's dive
Let's
on
get into
in.
the race.
Can you bring
highlight-
it back? Can
What?
you bring the car back?
No,
Lance?
it's in the fucking wall.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Can you bring the car
It's
back?
in the fucking wall.
Oh, that was one of the highlights.
Did
I
we
loved
know?
that.
Did we know we were going to get the radio gold of the year in the second race of the year?
Lance does usually provide great radio.
He does.
Yeah.
One of our listeners sent me a video of him answering questions about how much he loves dinner. They're like,
What?
tell us something that you like. And he's like, I love dinner. He's like,
I heard
he's
this.
like, I
Where did
wake up
hear
in the
this?
morning, I just start thinking, what is gonna be for dinner? It's dude, he's
I
just
think
a ditz.
Was it on Drive
He
to
is
Survive?
such a ditz.
Lance is
I
such
think it
a
might have been on Drive
A
to
Drive to
Survive.
Survive clip?
Yeah.
really.
Man, yeah. He's
Lance
thinking
is-
about dinner, flying through Jeddah, lap like what, 6? Just into the wall. Lance, can you bring the car back? It's in the wall.
It's in the wall, bro.
Ask my dad what's for dinner.
Lance is a himbo, straight up.
Yeah.
A Mel Bimbo, a himbo.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
A himbo.
I like that.
Yeah. But like, I don't know how you could be a himbo
Yeah.
while also being dumb as bricks. I mean, I mean that with just the nicest intentions, but he just, Dad, it's in the wall. I crashed. And I would give him a
Did you
harder
hear what he
time
said? He's
about
like,
this, but Fernando...
I crashed in the wall. That's kind of what he said.
Yeah, I crashed.
Yeah, I crashed in the wall.
Head down.
It's just like,
Sorry, guys.
You're going to have to pull so many weeds this week.
He flew right into that wall.
Yeah.
It was a pretty crazy crash.
A gnarly crash.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia provides those, for sure.
It's a great one.
It's
Tight little street circuit.
fastest street circuit
Yeah.
on the tour.
Monza speeds with Monaco variables. I mean, it's
tight.
pretty insane. But
It's cool.
to that actual point, that was one thing that I felt like I would give Lance more crap, but Fernando also managed to hit the wall during the race.
Little kiss.
But he got away with it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so close.
Yeah. And he just managed to continue pushing like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, we'll find out if it broke.
That's what a champ does, man.
For real, though.
Yeah.
The champ difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Before we get into anything further, it is a beautiful circuit. To watch some of those shots, they will take like a sweeping shot of a car going from one end of the circuit clear to the other, and it's so long.
It's so
Yeah.
long.
It shows the speed at a very far away length, which I don't think most tracks get.
Yeah.
They fly through
It's
that
very
whole
picturesque.
thing. It is amazing. Yeah.
I would say that Vegas is the only other track that I feel like you get that because the strip portion is so long that I also noticed like, oh, we get this kind of cool, wide helicopter shot with tons of like the infrastructure around it.
I swear at one point they were
But-
following Lewis down the whole thing, and I was like, this keeps going, and he is flying.
Yeah, it's so rad. But
Yeah.
also on top of it, it's next to the water. So you get
It's
the cool
gorgeous.
reflections
Yeah.
and stuff.
That
It's
is
just
cool.
really pretty.
Jeddah would be a great race to go to.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a cool
Next year.
track.
All right, but getting into the actual race recap,
Mhm.
Lance into the wall. Kevin, let's start with you. What is your
Sure.
favorite? What should we go into first?
I think the Aston Martin question is kind of real for me because Lance has a history of crashing. And if you look at drivers with his tenure in the sport, they do not crash as often as him.
Yeah.
It's just now, yes, is he the best of the billionaire boys? Yeah, but he's also
I don't
the
know. Joe
oldest.
might be approaching that. Even though Joe's car sucks, I
Yeah.
feel like Joe has been pretty consistent.
Pretty
Ever since
consistent.
he crashed and
Yeah.
slid on his head for a couple hundred yards. He doesn't want to do it again.
ever since he was like, is that a halo? Is there proof of concept on that thing?
Have we
Should we workshop that?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I know that Max's tire like really tested it out, but like, have we just decided
Full
to
weight.
like,
Full
the
car
full weight of the
at
car?
full speed.
yeah, near 2,000 pounds.
After that, he's
upside
like,
down.
never again.
No, this thing works.
Yeah.
We're good. No,
but
but
Lance,
I mean,
And
listen,
Joe did crash in FP3, and it was pretty gnarly, but I think it was a car malfunction. But just to clear that up, he did crash this weekend
Sure.
too.
I just think that Lance is not extracting everything that car has to offer, first and foremost.
Definitely.
Fernando is showing that. And I'm Canadian. Like, I love having a Canadian driver on the grid. I would love it if they were good. You know, that would be.
What do you mean? Gotifi didn't?
Oh my gosh.
He didn't scratch the itch?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's tough. And I think that Aston Martin is definitely going to be in a place over the next couple of years where they need to make a hard decision if they want to win or if they want to give Lance the seed. And I don't think Lance is going to bring home a ring. I think that if you look at the personnel within that team and the capacity that they have, they could be competing for world titles. They absolutely could be. And
I don't think they would have Fernando if they couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think it's tough because, and this very much dovetails into this next conversation, which is there is a surplus of talent available for driver
It just
choice.
keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so at some point it's like, oh, there is too large of an opportunity cost to keep Lance on board. And when you have drivers like Ollie Bearman coming on and having basically as good of a showing in your first race that you can, it's really tough to look at a driver like Lance and say, yeah, we need to keep this guy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's definitely It's definitely part of the conversation, I think, following this race.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so do we move into talking about Ollie?
I don't think there's more to say about Aston Martin other than the fact that, like, I think that Lance should, in the near future, transition into being more of like an ambassador for the team off the track, working alongside with his dad. I think that would be a great
way
role.
with words.
He's so good in front of the camera.
I was literally moving him into a marketing, advertising, face the company role.
I love dinner. I'm wondering
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
Anyway,
We've partnered with Stofers. Dad, I got a new sponsor for the car.
I'm just saying that Lance Stroll and NASCAR would be a hoot.
wait. I mean, he has been workshopping that goatee.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, he's
He could Larry the cable guy in NASCAR.
They called him Goatee. Did they just? Is that a goatee thing, or what? What does that mean?
Why did they call him? I'm the one that has the goatee.
I don't get it. Anyway,
Dad.
But Ollie Bearman showed that he should be on the grid right now.
Yeah.
Right
sure.
now.
So if you didn't watch the race this weekend, Carlos Sainz was out with appendicitis.
Which seems to be the like appendicitis runs rampant in the F1 paddock, apparently.
Is that a thing?
Well, Alex Albon died during his procedure last year.
Wait, did he actually?
Yes, his heart stopped.
What? I didn't know this.
I thought that sentence would have ended sooner. I was really excited.
Okay, Alex Albon is still alive,
Still
Max.
alive.
Still
I don't want him
racing.
dead.
Oh, I think I know what you're scratching.
But that
at.
was exciting for a second.
Anyway.
I was like, whoa.
Whoa,
But-
So he had appendicitis.
He did. And
Carlos
that's how Nick
Sainz.
DeVries got his opportunity at Monza.
Okay.
That's how that started.
And then what was another one?
And we know how that ended.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
With him cleaning a room for hours.
On Netflix. Content I pay for.
So Nick, if you could just
Next year's Driver's Wife is just going to be Ollie Bearman. They're like, hey, we have a room for you to clean. He's like, no.
He's
no.
like,
no.
no,
I saw what happened.
Learned.
I saw
I
what
watch
happened.
Fast Ones. I know what they think of those guys.
Yes, Ollie, you are the man.
Yeah, but like,
So Carlos Sainz got appendicitis.
yeah, and
Right.
Ollie Bearman,
Is
just
the-
background on him. That's
Mhm.
probably
Yeah,
helpful.
he's the Ferrari
reserve driver and the Haas reserve
and the Haas
driver.
reserve driver.
Correct. And is F2 an F2 racer for Prema, which
Yeah.
is
Prema, that's a team.
Prema's one of the better teams. Kimi
Okay.
Antonelli is his teammate. So we talked about Ollie last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then he ended up randomly graduating to F1 this week,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
wild.
was crazy.
Mhm.
And he got pole position for the F2 race
And had to miss it.
and missed it.
Wild.
Yeah.
So he's crushing it in F2.
Right.
Well,
And then
he
it's like, hey,
has
can you just like
he has to
come over.
basically get
Yeah.
first or second in F2 this year
mhm,
to justify
mhm.
Moving up.
moving onward.
Right.
And so him and Kimi Antonelli are like,
Mhm.
it is serious. In
It's
F2
at each
right
other's
now.
throats. Pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so him missing this race, it's like,
It's actually a bad thing for him.
yeah, like it's great because he had
But
such an amazing showing.
Such a good showing.
At the same time, it's like,
It's 25 points lost in the F2 championship.
Still, it's such a good
Yes.
showing.
Yeah. He got to race an F1 car that he literally spent an hour in
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
before the qualifying
pretty good.
session.
and he did great. 7th is what
Yeah.
he finished at.
I think so. Yeah.
7th. Great,
Qualified 11th.
great under pressure. Like everyone was praising him.
Mhm.
All the drivers like came over to him and congratulated him.
Even
Mhm.
Jack Doohan, who's a former F2 champ.
Okay.
Mick Doohan's son, Mick Doohan is a
Never heard
MotoGP
these names
champion.
before. Oh, wow.
And Mick is an Australian. So he's a legend. He's like, I
Jack
think,
Doohan is the most Australian name I've ever heard in my
yeah,
entire
Jack
life.
Doohan.
Yeah, that's
Mick
true.
For real.
That is
Doohan.
true.
Mick Schumacher was named after Mick Doohan.
Are you for real?
Yeah, Michael loves Mick.
Oh, wow. I need to look up this
and
guy.
so they were like kind of at the same time. Mick
Mhm.
and Michael were winning championships at the same time. And so they got to know each other and talked about each other's tricks on how they beat their competitors and stuff.
That's crazy.
But all that to say that Jack is an F1 Alpine reserve driver
Mm-hmm.
and in the Alpine racing, like driving academy. And so he was even praising Ollie, being like, no,
That's awesome.
he did exactly what he needed to do to impress the crap out of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now everyone who's on standby is like, damn it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's getting a seat.
And he also, it wasn't just
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like the difference between him and Charles at certain points in the races was like
Mhm.
pretty narrow.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what's getting everyone stoked, and how he handled himself, and how he wasn't too aggressive too early. He was timing things really well. You know, if he'd had better tires, like he could have gotten 5th is what I'm understanding. Like he had capacity to be there with the car, but for him to even get 7th, to get points on his first showing, it's a really, really great.
I mean, keeping the nose clean in an F1 race starting mid-pack is about as next to
tough.
impossible as
tough.
anything.
Like you said, in a really tight street circuit.
Right. And at a speed that is, what is it? It's, okay, an F2 lap around Saudi Arabia is 14 seconds slower.
Wow.
That
puts it in perspective.
So going pole in F2, which is what he did, and then going 11th and into the Q2 session after an hour of being in an F1 car is so impressive.
I don't know. Because I have played Mario Kart on like, 100cc?
I've done Rainbow Road.
And then you bump it up. Yeah, for like the first little bit, it's like, oh, it's kind of fast. And then by the first corner, it just has felt like,
that's true.
That's a good point, Max.
You're just swimming.
He did.
It is Mario Kart.
Yeah. But he did have the next supporter on, and he was using it. Like,
did you see it at the end of the race?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah. It's absolutely.
It's the when you look at a driver sitting inside this, you know, in the cockpit in the survival cell.
Yeah.
The pad that they take off.
Yeah.
Is the neck help for
and
when
they
you
all
crash?
have it, right? Yeah, but they can put a separate one, like a softer one, around you, kind of hold your head up. Yes.
Yeah. Why didn't Kevin Magnussen use that when he raced?
'Cause he's a man.
Yeah, that's right.
But
he knows what he's getting into. As well.
Yeah.
Ollie's collapsed on one side. So by the end of the race, if you look at it, the Ray-Ban you can't read on the other side of the headrest.
That's pretty intense.
Because his head was just like, he's not trained for the F1 G-force.
Wow.
So
again, there's just more evidence that these cars are insanely
so
fast.
Gnarly, so gnarly. And when you think that Charles Leclerc is as dainty as he is, but he's got the neck of a freaking linebacker.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
that clip that goes around of Fred Vasseur trying to put Carlos Sainz's face in the cake.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you
have
think
you
I
seen
do?
that?
Yeah.
No,
it's like Carlos Sainz's birthday, and they have a birthday cake, and he's blowing the candles out, and Fred Vasseur tries to smash his head into it, but it just like stops because Carlos Sainz just has a beefy, muscly neck, and also lightning fast reflexes.
Yeah, totally.
And he just like looks.
Who do you think you are?
Whose
neck do you think this is?
I can bench 300 with my neck alone.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing. But
wild.
Ollie Bearman, I mean, tremendous showing. And now Ferrari has a good but serious problem on their hands.
What is this serious problem? You guys alluded to it. Now what is it?
The serious
what? They have two great drivers coming in.
And
well, one.
Are you going to keep them?
Ooh. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. They're great drivers.
All you have to do is look at Piastri to see what happens when you don't bring in someone soon enough. And it's that Ollie Bearman has shown that he deserves to be on the grid right now, like today.
Okay.
And
who lost Oscar Piastri?
Alpine.
You better believe that they're thinking like, do we give this kid a seat right now?
Yeah, like
you think Ferrari's thinking this?
No. Other teams.
Other teams.
I guess that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, Ferrari has lined up two great drivers. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So that's the problem.
Gotcha.
So Lewis and Charles are locked in for 2 years together. And then beyond that, it's anybody's guess, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Charles is locked in for longer than that, but the pair of them, I mean, and they're going to have to get Ollie in the seat right after Lewis leaves. So then the question becomes, what do you do to keep Ollie around and to keep him happy so that he actually does take that seat after Lewis is gone?
I get what you're saying.
And now you've got this problem of like just to put it out there, Kimi Antonelli's worst nightmare was Ollie Bearman, his teammate in F2, getting a shot at Ferrari, a top tier team, and not wrecking, and placing in the points. Because now Toto Wolff goes, maybe it's not Kimi.
And he's hungry.
And Lewis Hamilton is gone. They've vacated the Mercedes seat.
Ooh, I see.
And so other teams who have vacancies it's like Haas absolutely wants Ollie.
Yeah.
But so does everybody else.
Yeah, I get that.
The likelihood of Ollie going to Haas is probably highest of any team.
You think?
Yeah.
Because of the Ferrari tie, yeah.
And because he's already their reserve driver.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that's probably like the loosest
He
reason.
did Haas tests last year.
Yeah, he did one
Yeah.
FP1 test
Yeah.
with Haas. But it's because of the Ferrari tie.
Mm,
So he would go to Haas on lease for 2 years
Yep.
while Lewis is at Ferrari. Lewis hopefully goes and wins a championship and then is like,
And then
that's
retires.
been great.
I
I'm
got my
retiring
eight.
now.
Yeah.
And he probably would do that if he won one season.
Right.
And then Ollie moves up.
mm-hmm.
And that's what they're going to try to sell him on.
Right.
However, you are definitely going to have a team like Alpine, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or a team like probably even Williams look at him and say, well, he's a lot better than Logan Sargent.
Mm,
Well, Kevin Magnussen's getting kind of old.
Yeah.
He's being outperformed by Nico pretty regularly.
mm-hmm.
And now we definitely want to keep Ferrari happy because they give us a lot of parts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Haas is past the point now where they're like, we need experienced drivers. I think now they can take risks with a younger driver.
Yeah.
They're at that
Yeah.
point now.
Aston Martin's going. Fernando
Mhm.
is on the cusp.
unsure if he
Yeah.
even wants to be in the sport anymore.
Yeah. And so the amount of
Like
teams.
I said, there's just a overflowing
There's a
abundance
lot of really great drivers.
of great drivers
Sebastian
that
could
want-
come back
yeah.
in. There are so many great drivers who are just like in the sport or
right
sitting,
next to it.
sitting in the queue.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know?
exactly.
And
Dangerous spot for a Lance Stroll.
Mhm.
dangerous
For
spot
sure.
for Lance Stroll. Dangerous spot for most drivers,
Yeah,
frankly.
Yeah.
I think both Alpine drivers are staring at the end of their career.
and that looks like a
because
great
of,
team
Really?
to join.
because of the way the team's performing.
It's
Oh my
like
gosh.
everything from the cars to the staff. Alpine looks like a solid choice. I'm joking.
Let's
You get to be friends with Ryan Reynolds. That's the
you get
only good
you
thing.
get a Deadpool helmet. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. We got a Deadpool
They're
helmet.
like, will I win a race? Nah.
Nah, but
Nah.
like Ryan
Hey.
Reynolds is in your speed dial. So that's one way.
Yeah, yeah. What were you asking, Kevin?
I was going to say, do you have any other thoughts on Ollie Bearman?
I just think that he did a good job, and you know the one thing that I think is interesting is that like a lot of people compare this to the Nick DeVries and the Williams thing,
Mhm.
but it's really hard to compare that
Mhm.
because with Nick DeVries and Williams, we're talking a very low downforce car on a very like high speed circuit that basically has no corners,
Mm, yeah.
right? Like Monza is flat out the whole way around,
Yeah, very
right?
fast.
And so basing all of driver assessment off of that has
Mhm.
clearly been like, oh, like Nick was so perfect for the seat. And then when he
Mhm.
got in one, we were like, no, he wasn't.
Monza's like one of those that's like,
It's an anomaly.
it's an anomaly, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the rest of the calendar.
Yeah, McLaren got that 1-2 there
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
And it's like, but when has McLaren had a 1-2 ever in the last decade?
Yeah.
It's the only one. My reason in drawing that comparison is that the only thing that's going against Ollie in a points finish on debut, in my eyes, is that he is in the second fastest car.
Hmm.
It's inarguable. Right now,
Yeah.
the Ferrari is second fastest.
Yeah.
And so if seventh place finish in the second fastest car means that he's in
Mhm.
the most stable machine
Mm-hmm.
and probably the most drivable, or else they wouldn't be qualifying there or
Yeah.
finishing there.
Mm-hmm.
So seventh is extremely impressive. Again, keeping his nose clean, all of that stuff is impressive.
Yeah.
But where I give Nick DeVries a little more credit is that was a Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And getting 10th in a Williams was pretty damn impressive,
Yeah.
period.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go, okay, now we're talking about Ollie, it's like getting 7th in the second place car is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
For other factors, really difficult track and whatever.
Yeah.
But comparing the two is little apples to oranges, in my
Age
opinion.
2 is a big difference
Yeah.
in this. Nick
18.
DeVries Nick DeVries was how old?
Like
25
27 or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was 26 when he came on
Yeah.
as a driver. So he was like 25 or 26 when he did that race in Monza. Ollie Bearman's literally 18 years old.
Totally.
That's very young.
It's a very mature thing to get into the car and not overcook it.
Mhm.
So he's going to be a good investment. Whereas with a Nick DeVries, one of the reasons why they're like, this isn't going to work out is because he's already kind of old.
Mhm.
You know, like he's in his mid-20s. You've missed a lot of the years where you were going to develop him as a driver to your machine.
Right.
And that's just not going to happen. And so I get why they ended up not deciding to roll with him. And yeah, Ollie's a really attractive option right now
For anybody.
for literally anyone.
Yeah.
That's cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna-
And I mean, you just brought up Alpine, and like it is kind of a joke, but it's pretty dire and pretty serious over at Alpine right now.
Gasly didn't even really start the race.
No, that was
he
pathetic.
is. This is
it's too bad.
This is not a joke. He is 21st out of 20 drivers.
Yeah, because of Ollie Bearman coming in and
Yes.
scoring some points.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
like that? Boy,
And that's
Bleak.
too bad because
Bleak
he's a
for
great
sure.
driver.
Pierre is
That-
really
I like
talented.
Pierre too.
Yeah, we like him.
I like
Alpine
Pierre.
is just so in the gutter right now.
it's yeah.
What's going
It's
on?
a dumpster fire. It's an absolute dumpster
I mean,
fire.
We talked about it last week. Mismanagement of the whole team.
Yeah, and just no faith in leadership
Mm-hmm.
will completely cripple them.
Yeah.
They've had nobody to steer the ship,
Mm.
and every time they've given somebody the wheel,
Yeah.
10 minutes later they go, "No, we don't like the way you're doing this."
Ooh. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, iceberg.
Yeah.
And this thing just sinks.
It's really
Jeez.
unfortunate. I always forget the name of this guy who's the name of the team principal right now?
Yeah. Pop quiz.
Oh,
He's the executive director, Bruno Famine.
Bruno
Okay,
Famine.
Bruno
so
Famine?
yeah, Bruno Famine.
What a name.
Okay,
Famine.
so yeah,
Bruno.
Famine. Thank you for correcting me.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So Bruno Famine, he was the executive. He was the chief executive, or like no, he was the executive chair
Yeah.
for Alpine F1.
Okay.
So, and the reason you kind of get to see him is because on Drive to Survive, he gets a lot of time,
He does.
which is great because I
Mhm.
didn't know him really at all.
I just know that he
That's one
kind
thing
of-
that I love Drive to Survive for is like it kind of gets me familiar with the personalities behind these teams.
definitely.
But
Especially with a guy as quiet as he is.
Right.
He's a pretty
and this is a guy who's been pulling the
Really?
strings. This is a guy who fired
Otmar?
Otmar. This is the guy who fired. I'm blanking
Cyril?
on
Cyril,
on
yeah.
Cyril, and it's just so it's stereotypical of executives who think like, oh, I could do that job.
right.
I could do that job.
Mm. You
It's like
think?
you've never been an F1 principal
Really?
No.
ever.
And like even Otmar said after the first race of the year, they asked him, they were like, "What do you feel
Mm-hmm.
about how Alpine's performing?"
Yeah,
and
I
he
heard
was
about
like,
this.
and he was like, "This is exactly what I talked about."
I think he said-
you have to create a safe environment where people feel like they're
Right.
not
This was
going
a
to get
recent interview
fired.
with
Yeah.
Otmar.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's like, you have to create safety in the team so people don't feel that they're going to get
Yeah.
fired for underperforming.
Mhm. Wow.
And all Renault and Alpine have done is create an extremely toxic environment of perform or walk.
It's like a scary dictatorship.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Bruno has been at the helm of that culture.
Interesting. We've
So-
talked about Formula One in the past as
bad.
like business, like working for a team. And like we've all had a boss that like we're scared of, or you're
Yeah.
going to get fired if you make a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Your productivity goes down. Your creativity shuts off.
Yeah. You start just,
Your performance
you
is
quiet
awful.
quit.
Yeah. You quiet quit.
Yeah. It's
That is wild. Yeah.
so how many people have quiet quit at Alpine at this
Well,
stage?
who did they just lost?
They lost head of aerodynamics.
Yeah.
They lost the
Oh no.
technical director.
Oh no.
Last-
These are big titles.
Yeah, last year they lost Alan Permain and Otmar,
Yeah.
which were both at the top of the team as well.
Who is running this
Alan
team?
Permain had been at the team for 25 years,
Jeez.
and they let him go. It wasn't he quit. They let him go, which was like,
Wow.
what are you doing? It was 30 years.
So 30 years
30
at
years.
Renault.
30 years at Renault. So I was 5 years off.
in the greater, in a worse way.
Yeah. In a worse way. Yeah. He'd been at the team so loyal for so long, and they let him go along with Otmar.
Which sometimes that's the right thing. I'm not going to say that like
Right.
firing someone is always bad. Sometimes that makes the team better.
right.
But you
But
have
when
to.
there's a lot
The
of other people being fired at the same time too.
Yeah.
It's like, there's-
Like maybe don't get rid of the rock.
yeah.
The whole fire sale movement of Alpine, it makes you wonder. You know, they sold, I think it was 26%
Right.
of the team to that actors group.
right.
And I mean, it makes me wonder, like I work in, you know, that kind of world of like fundraising money and stuff. You fundraise for, you know, a couple of reasons typically. One is because you want to expand and things are going well
Mhm.
and you want to be more aggressive. And the other is you're in a bad way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this has been known for a bit, that like the writing's on the wall, and now they're just trying to like squeeze the team for everything that it's got, and it's having the opposite effect.
Right.
It's tough because part of me, like, I really don't want to hate Alpine, and I actually don't hate Alpine. I would love to like
The brand, no.
I'd love to
I
root
don't
for
hate
them.
the brand.
Mm.
But man, like I feel bad for a guy like Gasly who rolled the dice to go there. Same thing with Danny. And it's just,
right.
I think it's just shown that like this team, you guys ever watch
Can they be trusted?
Did you guys ever watch Succession?
No.
There's this one moment where like the dad is like talking to his children. He's like, I love you, but you are not serious people. And it's just like the deepest burn. And that's kind of how I feel about Alpine.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I love you, but you are not serious people. You have shown consistently that you do not know how to manage a team to actually get it to the upper echelon. And I think that the Andrettis are foaming at the mouth on
so
this.
many people are. I think there's just so many people waiting in the wings for.
And I think that another group
sink.
deserves to come in and make this.
I look just like
more
drivers.
competitive.
This is something we talked about with Haas. If Haas were going to come in this season and struggle, then the question would be for the value of the sport.
Yeah.
And all of the teams and how much they are worth and all that stuff. It's just like drivers. If you're not adding value, then there's somebody who will, kind of thing. And so I think that there is definitely a question. There could be a question mark around that. But Alpine definitely had a terrible race.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it turns around for Australia, which is the next race.
Which is wild. Alpine is a huge team. Like, aren't they
huge team,
like
huge company?
Like Renault,
massive.
One of the
backyard.
biggest
Renault is
car
like the
manufacturers
power unit
in the world.
manufacturers behind that team.
Yeah.
So it's like Mercedes, Renault. Those are massive car manufacturers.
This is a factory
Full works
backed,
team.
factory backed, full works,
and it's
race
just
team.
crazy that
They're one of the few
they're
full
struggling.
works teams out there. You have Ferrari, Mercedes,
Renault,
Renault.
Alpine,
Aston Martin, no.
and McLaren.
You
McLaren and Aston Martin are
They're
sort of there, but you have to consider that these are boutique brands, whereas like Ferrari is Fiat. And although they're under the Ferrari umbrella,
they're making their own engine.
Yeah, but yes, and
Right.
it's a factory like the Maranello factory, and everything is very tied to the brand itself.
Yeah, whereas, love Aston Martin, love Mercedes. Sorry, McLaren, excuse me. They're buying the power unit from Mercedes right now.
They're getting Mercedes engine.
And it's just like, you're not a full works team. You're just not.
Yeah.
Love Red Bull. And the whole powertrains thing is like very confusing. Like what actually goes on there.
You guys know my theory with that.
Yeah. But it's not like you do not make your own power unit. Honda makes your power unit.
Yeah.
And so they're one of 3
Christian.
teams out there that are actually doing that, And the fact that they're so low and they are a full works team, it's embarrassing, frankly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. They have full control over the race car, and they're not delivering.
Yeah.
Which is, from an integrated like technology standpoint, as you go kind of vertical and start building your own technology, it should integrate better and you should be more efficient, have more power. That's the reason why you take that business model.
Right.
And you don't do the whole modular approach and go wide, and which is what Haas does, and be like, I'm going to buy all these different things from different people. It means you're not going to be very efficient.
You're very dependent.
But you're going to, you're very dependent, but you're going to do this for a much more cost effective way.
Right.
And so Alpine's doing the opposite, and the performance isn't there. It's alarming.
That's what I mean. It's like, that's a foam at the mouth for anyone who's like,
it's
your business
bad.
model's not working.
It's bad.
Guess what? We really want to do this.
Yeah. Speaking of Haas.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about freaking Kevin Magnussen.
We have to talk
Totally.
about
And how Haas, our boys, are doing great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. I have some very strong opinions and feelings on this matter.
Oh, yeah. We had some listener questions come in about things that happened during the race.
You hope it can last.
Oh, man. No, I think
Hey, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Who is this guy? Freaking gosh.
Fetching days.
Aston Martin over here. How many times have I heard that in this podcast episode so far?
Every time Haas has a bit of success, and then like when they do have success, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Haas is the best."
Oh no,
It's like, enough with the bandwagons.
You guys get out of here. We've been here this
I
whole
saw
time.
people on WTF1 podcast.
You see this poster over here? You think that we just? Yeah. Okay, Henry
True.
sent this out.
Did you think that's signed by just anyone?
It's signed by
the
the
Haas chap, you mother effers.
Not just anybody.
No. Awesome job by Haas.
Totally.
Unbelievable,
It was
right?
amazing.
Nico Hülkenberg ended in 10th, got a point on the board.
On the
Numbers
board.
on the board.
We got one.
all that
I'm so
matters.
stoked.
But damn, they were slamming Kevin with as many penalties as they could.
Yeah, it was
my
tough.
God.
What is going on?
They love to do that.
They do.
Mike, and
They love to do
I
that.
was texting you about it, and you're like, the stewards hate Kevin Magnussen.
They do.
Why do they? Is that real?
It's real.
Mike is gripping
This is a
the
conspiracy.
mic. Death grip
gosh.
on that, and that is a steward's
Okay.
neck right there.
This
It's just
Okay, so here's the thing.
yeah.
If you do not believe in politics,
I don't.
let me.
Politics doesn't
show
believe in you.
No.
You have to
why you
believe
gotta
in
make it all
politics for it to
personal?
believe in you.
Why you gotta be all personal?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't believe that politics are real in Formula One,
Yeah.
how about Lando Norris jump the start and did not get a
That
penalty?
was insane.
This was a
Because
listener
I saw
question.
that happen live, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy."
Yeah,
that's
it's George
That's
Russell.
for sure.
Jump start.
I will bump up
Yeah.
this question to right now from a listener.
Okay,
Please.
go
Who's
ahead.
new to the sport.
Yeah.
Name's Miranda. She wrote in. She says, how are penalties distributed? Lando Norris jumped the gun on the grid.
Yeah.
But Kevin Magnussen got 2 penalties.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them was 10 seconds.
Like, how are they weighed and how are they? It's like,
Depends on how British the stewards are that week. I'm dead
geez.
serious. I'm going to take that kind of low blow
jeez, yeah.
because it's ridiculous. Lando jumped the start. It was clear. Will Buxton, Chris Medlin, literally everyone I
Yeah, they
follow on
replayed it.
Twitter
It's like,
were like, that was a slam dunk penalty. How come he didn't get one? All of the reporters were calling it out.
It's crazy.
And again, those guys are also British. So I'm like, it's not. I'm just saying, these dudes were also willing
I
to
don't
be
think
like,
you need to be a You could be this person's a casual
brand
fan.
new fan.
Yeah,
brand new, like,
fan this year.
That's pretty obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Good point. Newbies to the sport are like,
Right.
that's not a thing in races, right?
He moved, no one else did.
Right. Yeah. What?
Does that happen in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Not
In-
that I've seen.
In football, do they kind of throw the flag and they'd be like, nah, never mind.
They
Just
snap the
I'll bring
ball
it
a
back
bit.
up. Yeah.
We'll try it.
Yeah,
it's
but
okay, we'll try it.
the penalties on K-Mag were
Absurd. Okay, so and again, like I remember last year, Sergio Perez at Abu Dhabi, he made contact with Lando, and I remember being like, that was Lando not turning and Sergio turning, which Lando was then not taking the racing line and intentionally blocking, which at that point a collision would be on Lando's fault, not Sergio. These are things that are like
The minutia of accidents and penalties.
Right. And so Sergio gets a 5-second penalty for causing a collision with Lando Norris, which then cost the championship for Ferrari in second place and Mercedes took it. Remember, this was
right.
like the reason I was like, what are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay. But causing a collision,
Mm-hmm.
like what they considered a slam dunk blatant crash from Sergio, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Not 10.
They upped it.
5
10's
seconds.
crazy.
So 10 is an enormous
Yeah.
penalty.
That's like 8 places.
Kevin was driving defensively and aggressively, but Albon was not alongside, which is
And that's clear.
the
with
requirement.
replays.
And that's how they judge it. That's how they're
Yes.
supposed to judge it.
that is
sorry.
supposedly how they judge it. So when
What do you mean how
Magnus-
they judge it? So like if they're race to wheel
they
to
have
wheel?
to be axles dead
Yeah, okay,
in order
gotcha,
to fight
gotcha.
for the
Yeah.
corner. And so Albon going for a late break on the outside
Mm-hmm.
and Kevin moves over for the racing line
Mm-hmm.
and they collide and it takes the front wing end plate off of the Williams.
Mhm. Yeah.
Albon shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. And you can watch the replay. He is not even close to being in front
No,
or
he's-
even alongside Kevin Magnussen.
He late breaks him
Yeah.
and Kevin's there. And so it's like, well, you kind of ran into Kevin.
Yeah. If he's going to squeeze you into the wall or off the track,
It's kind of his prerogative.
and you have to put the brakes on.
Right.
That's part of racing.
That is part of racing. The wall's not going to move.
Yeah.
So the brakes are the only choice you got.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin gets a 10-second
Ugh.
penalty,
Brutal.
which I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
Even the announcers during the race were like, that seems pretty harsh.
Right.
Ew.
Yeah, like it's
And
kind of
then-
jarring.
And then
Wow.
Kevin was like, F y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and became a legend. And then, he goes off the track a little bit because he goes a little deep into the corner and they're like, another 10-second penalty. And this is my favorite part, guys,
Yeah.
because I bet you don't even know.
I don't know.
Okay, so we know that he defended for laps
Yes.
and he made it so Nico had a 20-second gap to pit and still get points, which was just the most gangster
Teamwork.
Yeah.
middle
Yeah.
finger.
Uh-huh. Numbers on the board.
Everyone's like, this can't be legal. And it's like, guess what? It is.
Yeah.
And keep sending penalties because it doesn't matter at this
Ballers.
point. Right? Oh, man, I was loving this. And then the race, like once Nico pitted,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's like, cool, I haven't been driving at all.
Mm.
Pedal down. He finished 12th. 12th. He only lost 1 place
with a
20-second penalty.
That's crazy.
So the dude made up 20 seconds in a matter of laps.
Wow.
Drove his absolute heart out
Yeah, man.
to make it so he didn't fall all the way to 20th.
I mean,
amazing effort.
There's definitely, there's higher expectations for them right now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And for them to...
And there always should be. Like, those are seasoned, amazing drivers, too.
Yeah,
Totally.
I was just going to say, Kevin Magnussen is showing like a lot of intelligence, a lot of experience, thinking that far ahead and defending for that long.
And being a team player like that, too.
A team player.
And that's what this team is and needs to be. It's like, we are working as a group for every point we can get.
There's no...
It benefits everyone.
There's no opportunity for you to be racing for yourself here.
No, you're not going to win. Like, you're not going to win.
Honestly, last year at this time, we were
hoping for a podium.
We were 3rd or 4th in the championship. 4th.
Right. Early on.
So like still early in the season, we don't count our eggs too quickly, you know?
No.
Right.
But we fell from grace a little bit last season.
Yeah, we did. But it was great that Kevin Magnussen did all that. I love that Haas was just celebrating Kevin Magnussen just as much as Nico Hulkenberg. I love that it felt like this bad boy kind of like rage against the machine thing. It was like, 20-second penalty? Who cares?
Yeah.
You are the man of the hour.
Anti-establishment F1.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It kind of makes you like, I mean...
Does the driver's suit have studded belts now? I'm like sick.
In Las Vegas, it does. It makes you kind of ask the question. It's like, do you think at times they're trying to force Haas out?
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of what...
The meatball flag. We talked about it all the time.
This is what I'm saying. I don't think they want Haas in the sport.
No, which makes us want to be there more.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's so annoying because just let them race.
Yeah.
Just let them race. And if
I don't care that you don't like us.
If they deserve to be there, they'll earn their place. And if they don't, then they won't.
No.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. And that's how the stewards should feel about it too. And it feels like they're intervening and it feels pretty gross.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's less about Kevin Magnussen and more about
the
Haas.
team. Yeah, I
totally.
completely
I agree with you.
It's just a straw man. Like, completely.
Yeah, man. Complete underdogs. Not only is it like maybe like a poorer team, but when the league is going against you, that is so underdog story.
No, it's like, man, this makes me want to turn on some metal music for this segment and be like,
seriously,
sticking it to the steward.
Mafia has FIA in it.
Oh man. Okay, well, let's shift gears away from big race recap this week.
Yes.
And shift to the other part of the race recap.
Yeah.
Formula One Academy.
Yes.
F1 Academy. Yeah.
First race of the year.
It was actually really cool.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed both races.
I watched
thoroughly.
both of them.
Yeah. Did you watch either of them?
Oh, I did.
Free on YouTube.
You guys claimed that so quickly, and then looked at me like, "Did you watch either of them?"
Max, did you?
I was making Instagram posts and reels about it.
Did you watch, Max?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
Oh,
you can stream it live for free on YouTube.
You can stream it for free live on YouTube. This isn't sponsored by YouTube, by the way,
or Susie Wolf.
Yet.
Not focused. No, it was awesome.
It was so great.
I'll say, of course, I am rooting for Leah Block.
Right.
And
yeah.
She had a bit of bad luck. First race, she hit the wall, kind of spun out, broke the back wing.
Right.
Second race was the worst luck she
could
have ever had.
You need to take the time to show what happened because it is so stupid.
It is crazy.
It's the
the car
driver
with the lips all over it.
Yeah, which just makes it worse.
Is it the makeup company who's like the first ever makeup company to sponsor a car?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a record. Like,
right? It should, like, whatever.
She kind of crashed,
right?
And then she
was sitting parallel, like
spins perpendicular into the middle of the track. Cars are going around her. She just picks a random moment to drive forward, right as Leah Block is trying to get around her. T-bones.
Yeah, and it was like,
and then she just drives off.
And it it did end up ruining her
she
race.
Looked
they retired that car.
It was done.
It was over.
It was crazy.
And Leah was miffed. You could tell she was like slamming the stereo.
Not even her fault. And actually
not
driving really well, but then someone had just cut right in front of you.
I think she made up 4 places on the restart just before that.
It's tough.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
such a bummer.
Yeah, like 2 DNFs in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
That's brutal. You got to give Leah a lot of grace because she's in a single seater for the first time.
Right.
She's doing tracks basically for the first time.
Right.
Not the first time. Like, obviously she has experience on tracks, But this is a girl who does like Rally and Pikes Peak, and it's just they're totally different.
They're
worlds.
totally different.
Right.
And so she gets a lot of grace from me and from everyone else being like, yeah, like you can crash in your first race, whatever.
Jeddah is an insanely hard track.
Yeah. And dealing with like, again, like when you're doing Pikes Peak, you are not managing tires. You are definitely paying attention to temperatures and things.
Yeah.
But you are not lap after lap getting different results under braking and turning.
Yeah.
It's very different. And I thought she was doing
awesome.
Really great. You know,
great passes,
and I was so bummed to see that crash. It really was just like
the first one was like,
because I'm really rooting for Leah.
She's awesome. I mean, hometown girl. We want someone from our hometown in the sport. It's amazing.
It's
it's
cool.
crazy having a girl from Utah in like on the race weekend.
Right?
Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Well, and I have like, I could go off on this for hours, and so I will save it.
Prove it.
Because she's Ken's daughter, and
Seriously.
let's at some stage we will talk about Ken. We'll save it. But the tie there is obvious that we care about what her career is. We have such interest in it just on that alone. But to also see her
the entire like motorsport world is rooting for this girl for that reason.
Absolutely. And like, especially anyone who gave a damn about how action sports and motorsport kind of became one through Ken.
Yeah. Anyone who cared about chunky skate shoes cares about this.
Yeah, exactly. If you know that DC was founded by a dude who lived here, well, he didn't live here when he did, but eventually lived here in Utah. Then, do some Wikipedia researching.
Yeah.
But Leah proved her stuff. The first crash, I just think that she like got surprised by the braking zone.
Yeah. And then she hit like a bump.
She hit the curb.
Yeah, hit a curb.
And it like threw her car in the air, did a wheelie.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, now I can't stop in time.
It's her first race.
Yeah, it's like, but that kind of thing happens to Lance Stroll. Yeah. It happens to F1 drivers all the time.
It happens to one of the best drivers of all time.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll. Also in the F1 Academy race, the Haas driver, Chloe Chambers,
was crushing it.
It's great to see Haas kind of like firing on all cylinders in these different sports.
Yeah. Right.
That's really cool.
She was killing it.
I was killing it.
Literally so impressed.
Yeah. But overall, like just a great weekend. And I love that they're including it as part of the official race weekend,
Totally.
I think like the comment you made before the pod about you've daughters, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and they watched the race with such like excitement because every week we watch F1 every week that it's on, and every week we would jump into a NASCAR race, and every single time, I kid you not, this is not made up. Which one's a girl? Where's the girl car? And I hate telling them
I was gonna say
that there isn't one.
You hate girls.
No.
And
but it makes me feel like complete crap.
Yeah.
When I have to tell them there isn't one. But you can cheer for the pink car. Alpine kind of gets this win for having a pink car, and they totally love that. But being able to show them a Formula Academy, and they were just like, yeah. And I have a pedal and wheels, like a racing wheel and pedal set. It's a Logitech racing
simulator.
Set. Yeah. And before you guys showed up tonight, they were playing on it.
Yeah.
They were all
rad.
about it.
It was rad.
And it's because like they got their first taste of seeing someone that they could look up to, which is so cool.
I think it's
so
sick.
Cool.
And I'm excited to see more. Next one is in Miami.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also fun to watch a race where there's no DRS.
Yeah,
true.
They don't have DRS, and so it was old school style racing with
slipstream.
Can you get in the slipstream?
Yeah.
Can you get around them? And can you late brake? Like, there's a lot of other techniques that come in to play, not just DRS.
Or you just Bianca and just miss the corner every lap.
She was out of control.
Everyone loves her too, and
I was watching that race and I was like,
McLaren has a very strong marketing machine behind it.
Totally.
And they were just letting her elbows out go anywhere she wanted on the track.
And I was like, when are they going to black flag her? Or like give her a penalty? I was so surprised. I was like,
it was wild.
She has missed turn one every lap.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It was like Lewis Hamilton. Do you remember those seasons where he would just like be out in front the whole race after skipping across corners?
Yeah, and he'd just be like, yeah, someone pushed me off. It's like,
we'll give
you're
this
10 seconds ahead of everyone. What do you mean?
Just cutting across. Abu Dhabi once where he just cut across the whole thing.
Yeah, he was like, oh, they pushed me off. And everyone was like, no.
That was a divisive year.
Yeah, it was.
That was a fun year.
Gosh, I miss it. I need more divisive ears.
But to finish the thought on F1 Academy, sorry.
sorry.
The next one's in Miami, right?
Right.
Is that in May?
Yeah, I
I
think
might
so.
try to go to that.
Oh,
Dude.
Yeah.
I think we make it a goal.
Yeah.
Make it a goal.
Okay. That could be fun.
I think it'd be
And
so
it could
fun.
be, I mean, I bet you.
Even if we just go to a Formula
Okay,
One
but-
Academy race,
Yeah,
that'd
would
be
still be
sick.
rad.
That'd be so sick.
So fun to
Yeah,
watch.
we might be able to make that happen.
Totally. Also, just to talk one more layer of this because there was a controversy.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Dorian Pan won the first race, so strong.
Drives a Mercedes.
Drives for Mercedes. She also won the second one, but
Classic Lewis.
her team, yeah, totally.
She's such a
And,
Lewis.
and Lewis was there to
Yeah.
congratulate her, which actually, again,
Yeah, it's just cool.
It's cool.
I appreciate
Very, very
Lewis
cool.
doing that stuff for sure. But she crossed the line. Not only did she not see the checkered flag, her team didn't tell her that the race was over.
Oh yeah.
What?
So she completed an entire lap of the circuit at full speed after the race was done, and they penalized her 20 seconds. She fell to 9th.
Ooh.
And they handed the win to Abby Pulling, who races for Alpine.
Jeez. Was that race 2?
That was race 2.
Oh my god.
What?
And so you guys probably watched as much as I
watched
did.
up until Leah Block got crashed, and I was like, "Son of a!" and I
Yeah.
turned it off.
I saw
watched-
the end and then I finished.
Yeah, so but after the race, she was penalized 20 seconds for a hot lap after the race was over.
Oh my god!
Because like the marshals walk out on track and like it's so dangerous.
Yeah,
They walk
yeah.
out and they take naps.
Who's responsible?
it's
they
the
do-
team's job.
Yeah, but like who?
It's the engineer to go, okay, good job.
Were
Were they just
checkered flag.
napping?
I mean, if
It's a 12-lap race.
They probably just were like,
true, it's not a
oh,
long race.
they're probably like, she knows.
Yeah, that's too
She
bad.
just won. It was 12 laps.
Honestly, this is a team sport.
And it's new.
Every team,
It's new
you
in
gotta
some
figure these
ways.
You got to
kinks
give this
out.
girl give her a break.
I mean, a lot of people
How
were like,
stressed out is she
shouldn't-
gonna be?
Shouldn't a warning have sufficed? Especially where Bianca missed the first corner
Yeah,
6 out of 12 laps.
yeah.
It seems like maybe Dorian
Maybe Zach
should
Brown's paying a little too much money to the F1 Academy.
that you didn't see.
The
that.
Wolves need to pay a
You
little
did
bit
see that.
more.
Yeah, the wolf pack. Unbelievable. I felt really bad for her, but overall, that was the only thing that was kind of like a bad
Hey.
mark on the weekend.
Yeah.
But I loved
Fun.
it. It was
Fun.
great.
What
Well
are we
done,
at?
Susie Wolf and team.
All right. Final thing for the end, guys. We do have some listener questions.
Yeah.
We haven't done these yet this year, and
Totally.
they've been piling up.
They're getting.
What does Sam have to say?
None of these are from Sam. None of these are from Sam. These are other listeners. This comes in from Devin. Do you see Mercedes becoming a mid-pack team?
Yes.
No.
Oh. I see it. They're kind of there right now.
Yeah.
They came in second last year, but just barely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They're
Mike.
still getting podiums.
They are. Well,
But like in the, let's say 2026,
Sure.
is Mercedes a mid-pack team?
Oh,
Can it
okay. I
happen?
thought we meant like
So
this
I
season.
Not
have-
this season, but like
Okay.
their trajectory.
I have a deep theory here.
What's your deep theory?
Okay, we'll have to do this in a deep dive later,
Mhm.
but just so you guys get the gist of it.
Mhm.
Teaser trailer.
Last iteration of Mercedes that was incredibly successful, the 8 World Championship Constructor Championship car,
Mhm.
was based on Ross Brawn's design.
Mm.
From the
Interesting.
Hulu documentary.
Yes.
Ross Brawn from Hulu.
Yeah, that one.
Ross Brawn of Hulu fame.
Yeah.
Friends with Keanu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
That guy.
Ross Brawn of the toothbrush company.
So, Brawn
So they were running that
Paper towels?
same model for like 10 years?
Well, so no matter what, the foundation of the car
Yeah.
was designed and built under Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Then the iterations were done under Toto.
Yeah.
So, like, not to take away from the span of success,
Mm-hmm.
because it still took
Still
iterations to keep the car ahead of Red Bull and
Yeah.
Adrian Newey.
Mm-hmm.
But the foundation and the original design theory was based on Ross Brawn's build with the hybrid unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that car carried through all of its design iterations 8 constructor championships.
Mm-hmm.
This is Toto's first car.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Interesting.
his second car, because they had to go back on the
Yeah.
first one,
Uh-oh.
which then Red Bull kind of took and made faster.
Toto.
Yeah, totally. So, totally.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good one. So, anyways, I think it's an interesting thing to say
Yeah.
that, like, Toto piggybacked some success,
Mm-hmm.
but this is his first real stint of being like, can you prove it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you overcome this?
I don't think they'll become a midfield team. I don't know, but at the same time,
I think it's possible.
all it takes is McLaren and Aston Martin to just like really consistently outpace them.
Yeah.
And did you see from Lewis's onboard how fast Lando was through this high speed?
Yeah.
It looked like he was. I've played video games where I'm like, there's no way that dude is
He's
like
modding.
Yeah.
He's on cheat codes.
Yeah, totally. You're like on Forza and that guy's just like planted. That's what it looked like with Lando. And Lewis is like, he's in another league.
Yeah. So I can see it happening.
It's possible.
Next question.
Okay.
This comes in from another Devin, but it's not the same Devin.
Is it spelled the
actually
same?
just-
Is it spelled the same?
No, it's different.
Okay.
This is Devin Dewey.
Oh.
Shout out to Devin Dewey.
Hey, Devin Dewey.
What are
for
the
writing in.
sparks that are coming out of the car while racing?
Wood.
Question over.
It's not even
Question
wood anymore.
answered. Yeah, because that's something that, as a new watcher of the sport, a lot of people came in every year. Okay, Mike is holding up to the camera a car, and he has a little thing on the bottom.
The skid block, which is a point of controversy last season, because this is how they measure whether or not the car is too low.
Yep.
Because the wear on it at the end of the race has measurement points to gauge whether or not the teams are running the car too low.
Yeah. So like what? Down force hits the car and just pushes the car into the ground. Sparks shoot out the back.
And there's a like titanium composite plate that sits at the front of the skid block, and that scrapes the ground and that's what creates the sparks.
Cool. We have one more question, Mike.
Okay.
We have more, but we'll save them for like another episode. Is there a set number of teams allowed in F1? This one comes from Jerem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, what do you think?
So the FIA and FOM, so FIA is the
Formula Introductory Academy.
The Federazionale is Internationale Association.
Is internationally international.
It's the French governing body of motorsport.
Okay.
Which is the rule maker and enforcer for all of European motor racing.
Oh, okay.
And the FOM is the Formula One Manufacturers Group, which is the 10 teams.
Okay.
They sign an agreement together every so often over TV deals and how money is dispersed, which is called the Concord Agreement. Under current Concord Agreement between FIA and Formula One, there is up to 12 teams.
Oh, max 12 teams. Under the current agreement.
Under the current agreement, it is up to 12 teams, but currently it is only 10. And Formula One Manufacturers Group, that group of like McLaren and Mercedes and all them, have made it impossible for like groups like Andretti to come in. So there is more vacancy, but they are currently working through a new Concord Agreement. And that will also play into whether or not more teams can be added.
Interesting.
To the sport.
As a side question.
Yeah.
Would you want to see more teams, Kevin, Mike? Would you want to see more teams?
Yes.
You want to see more?
Kevin? I want more Ollie Bearman opportunities.
You want 2 more teams, just all for Ollie Bearman.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Clone him.
Yeah.
He is British.
Yeah. But like Jack Doohan, Ollie Bearman, Kimi Antonelli. More seats means more opportunities for drivers to show their stuff and not to lose Pierre Gasly's and Esteban Ocon, who are in a bad spot right now.
I think there's this perception of F1 that just because this has been the case for like a lot of years now, it's that, there's a team that's always at the front and they're just winning and they're the obvious like runaway favorites for the year. It does not need to be like that.
Yeah.
And for sure, F1 and Sky Sports is trying to guide the sport in a way where there is not just one team dominating.
I think it's in their interest to make it more competitive.
It absolutely
is. They have to.
And so what they want and what I want and other fans definitely want as well is at the end of the season, you're like, man, one of 5 drivers could win this race and be the champion.
Yeah.
Right.
And if that's the case, like the difference between, like in the constructors based off of this one last race, you could be 7th or you could be 12th.
Yeah.
Right.
And that type of swing is better for everyone in the sport. It also means that like, if you have a bad showing one season, that you're not going to lose your job and not everyone is going to get fired because it's like, we lost that race. We're going to come back stronger.
Yeah.
There was moments at that within the season when we were like, maybe 5th in the constructors, and it just so happened that the chips didn't fall our way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that like everyone is so far beyond us that we're going to like get snubbed.
We haven't experienced those years.
No.
I think Mike probably can call back to years when coming into the last race, there was 3 or 4 teams who could have taken the championship. They were all within like 1 point, 2 points.
Mainly Sebastian Vettel championships that were that way. But prior to that were the Michael Schumacher dominance.
Yeah.
And you know, Mika Häkkinen and him going at it, which was a really cool period, but Mika only won 2 out of Michael's several.
So yeah, and we all know how exciting it was when Lewis and Max were neck and neck.
Right.
It was so good for the sport, so good for everyone.
And I think that like even just to say that to echo that, Chad Knaus was Jimmy Johnson's team crew chief, and Jimmy Johnson is a 7-time NASCAR champion.
Makes the best sandwiches too.
Yeah. The Jimmy Jones. How dare you speak that way about old 7-time Jimmy Johnson, California native, by the way, 7-time NASCAR champion.
We were all asking.
Come on, it's cool that he's a West Coast boy that won some NASCAR.
I guess.
Chad and Jimmy were very successful together through their time as crew chief and driver. Most crew chief and driver pairings don't last that long.
Okay.
But the 7 titles did not happen in 7 years.
Oh.
Cool.
Oh.
So if I want to like paint that picture in a way is to say that like, yeah, in F1 it's high stakes, but maybe again to like echo that maybe the Alpine way isn't the way.
Right.
Consistency is sometimes a good thing. So,
Cool. Well,
anyway,
thanks for answering those questions.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Great
Kevin,
question. Thank
you're
you.
always welcome.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Anytime.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube. Listen to us on all the things that we have podcasts on. Apple Music and Amazon podcasts. But watch us on YouTube.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram.
Give a rating.
Share us, like us. We're growing, and we love all the new followers and listeners that are coming in every week. It's been really exciting this year. So.
And please send us questions. We love the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Continue
those that were
questions.
submitted this week.
Where do people reach out to send questions?
They can email us at fastones.us@gmail.com or comments on Instagram, comments on TikTok, comments on YouTube.
They're all getting watched.
Yeah, they're all getting filtered by me and Mike, and we're answering them on the podcast.
I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah, no, you barely do anything.
No, that's accurate. That's accurate.
Have you even found all the episodes we call you out on yet?
Oh no, I know that it happens. Sometimes I'll be driving and I'm like, this one's 3 weeks old.
Kevin's only job right now is to tell me 2 minutes before we record that he's coming.
Hey,
that's
Mike, I'm coming tonight.
No, we're giving you a hard time, but you are actually very helpful.
Thanks, guys. It's great to have you.
Best producer ever. Okay, see you guys.
See you next week.
Ross Braun from Hulu.